of how do you create that first portfolio as a digital marketing student when you're just getting started?
Okie dokie. So, hmm, how do you create? Okay, so I'm going to generalize this also to what do you do as a business with your portfolio as well, with your, I'll call it case studies. So, um, I guess what I'll say to that is fundamentally realize that the marketplace is what determines your value. Okay, so you can say, I don't want to work for free because I deserve more. The marketplace says, guess what? If you want a portfolio item, you need to work for free. That's where the marketplace is at. Portfolio work is like one of the ways, but also, I mean, I'll back up with that. Also remember, you're also part of the marketplace. So the more you've done, usually, not always, the more you yourself will feel confident in approaching this person and saying, this is what um, I can do, and this is the money that I want for this. And therefore, you're also willing to say no if the person looks at your portfolio, says, you don't have a portfolio, forget it. So I think they're more talking about like, what can I do in order to get that portfolio? I get it. Um, I mean, the obvious work, the obvious answer is do things for whatever the marketplace is willing to pay you for, but also choose your portfolio items strategically, like align them with the direction that you're going and then pursue that direction. So meaning if you really want to go into tech as a digital marketer or as whatever it is, this is a generalized thought, then pursue that direction. And you might be willing to take half pay, work as an intern, work as a volunteer at a not-for-profit, and then you pursue that direction. So to give you an example, we're right now, we made a very strong decision to say we need to beef up our connection to our clients' bottom line. Started a little bit earlier than the pandemic, but it sure hit really close to it, right? Arthur, you started and then pandemic. So the thought,
I didn't bring it. It wasn't my fault.
yeah, well, I don't know about that. You probably was like, I really wish that I was working. Like you probably manifested. I'm not going to go there. Forget it. I've got too much yayas today. Um, so, um, so we're actually doing work for a lower, with a higher value, lower cost, because I want to make sure that we're doing a lot of this work. Then a company that has our experience and our expertise and our talent and all that kind of stuff, because we've mostly been selling website design and development, more core asset like logo, corporate identity, more core asset stuff, less very close to bottom line stuff, which is the stuff that you do and Maggie does and Libby does. So with that in mind, I'm far more aggressive in adding that kind of material because I want us as a corporate entity to really super learn that type of thing. So we're providing, I believe, a lot more value as far as that goes. And that's what, a digital marketing student who wants a portfolio is doing. They're providing a lot more value into the system so that they get the value that they're seeking, which is perhaps a portfolio piece, perhaps connections, whatever that happens to be. So this isn't something just for a digital marketing student. This is something for every business, wherever they happen to be. Sometimes what that happens to be is, and this is happening in the pandemic a lot because we've been talking to a lot of people, is, oh, I have to hustle like I did 25 years ago. Some people are not liking that because they thought they didn't have to do the digital marketing student portfolio gig anymore. So my prices have to be half. I need to give away free stuff, free classes, free this, whatever it happens. I need to do something in order to get attention because people aren't ready to buy as much as they were maybe a year ago, right? So this whole thing is still very relevant for an aged, mature business or career as it is for young. It just depends on what's actually going. Are you shifting into a new product or marketplace type thing, and therefore you need to get that experience or that reasons to believe, which is what a portfolio is. It's a reason to believe. Or has the world changed around you, and now you need to be more in that portfolio mindset, as in how can I beef up my future prospects by the things that I'm willing to do right now? So that could be just that hustle, that willingness to strike a bargain, or whatever it happens to be. That's what that is. I will say one thing though, and portfolio is interesting because portfolio usually is, look, I've done, like, it's a visual thing quite often. Um, Really, in digital marketing, you're talking more about case studies. So case studies has been on my mind a lot because every time I try to read a case study, it sucks. It is more like, such and such person asked us to do something, and aren't we wonderful? Like, it doesn't really give much value for the person reading the case study.
In terms of like understanding what happened.
Not even understanding what happened, but it's if I'm visiting your website and you have a case study there, why would I read it? To see how great you, because like, there's one of the things I've been thinking about is, how do you make a great case study? Let me put it that way, because I see a lot of, they're mediocre. I read them and they're like, this doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. It's a little bit of braggy portfolio stuff, a little bit, and that's okay because you're showing success with a case study. So yeah, I mean, I actually wrote down a whole list of stuff because I've been really thinking, how do we want to bring case studies into our business? And it's still kind of a work in progress, but for me, the most important thing is, the person who's reading it, what do they want to get out of this? Like, really, what value are you giving, like actual value, in having this case study for the person that's reading it? So, the reader should understand that, how does this apply to me? So see themselves in the case study. If that reader is going to make a decision to purchase the service, what do they need to know to make that decision to purchase the service? So for instance, like, if you're doing SEO for manufacturing or financial planning for single moms, like, you see how it's getting specific? It's not just SEO, it's SEO for this, because I think sometimes the person wants to know, will this work for me? And in that sense, maybe give some context to it. Like, think, when you're creating a case study, what would rule out the person reading this case study from saying, I want this? So I think sometimes case studies are just one way I'm trying to brag. I'm trying, not bragging's not bad. I'm trying to convince you to buy from me, is usually what the case study is. Whereas it's really should be saying, in this context, this works. So let me give you some context from which the person that where it really resonates says, oh yeah, actually that's great. Or, oh, maybe I'm not ready for this yet. And I understand the context of it. So some questions I think would be great to ask. And again, this goes for, like, as I said, financial planning for retirees, for single moms, for whatever. This is any, especially with service, like businesses where you're providing a service. It's great. That's where all the case studies are. So things like at the beginning, like when you're first starting the engagement, think of your case study at that point. Like, find out what's important to the client. What does success look like? So what are you actually trying to achieve with this? What assumptions did you have? What did you learn during the process? That's a great takeaway. What we learned during this process. Maybe even think at the end, what's still unknown? So what are the kind of holes in your case study, or what's still to be, like, you don't necessarily put all of this in the case study, but these are great questions, and some of this might get into the case study. And then what were the results? And I would actually say, and I hate this so much in our industry, especially in the AdWords industry, is stop the positive reporting.
Mm.
Like, it's not all like, yay, yay, yay. It's like, oh, this didn't work, or that didn't work, or something was quite interesting about this. These assumptions that we had, that we base this on, didn't come to fruition. That's a case study. Like if you actually go to case studies and you're studying them in, like, if you're getting your MBA, your Master's of Business Administration, if you're doing that, the case studies are not like the case studies you read on a website. They're actually studies of the case. And so bring a little bit more of that into it.